The punch hit like a freight train, knocking Jack Riley flat on his back right there on the rain-slicked sidewalk outside the Oakwood bar, with a crowd of locals just standing around, watching like it was some late-night entertainment. And in that split second, as blood filled his mouth and stars danced in his eyes, Jack thought, this is how it ends for guys like me, the ones who can't just walk on by. But then came the rumble, low at first, building into this earth-shaking thunder of engines that drowned out everything else. And suddenly, the night flipped on its head, proving that no one who stands up for what's right ever really stands alone. Welcome to Echoes of Honor. Stick around, because this tale from Oak Ridge Hollow is one of those stories that sticks with you, reminding us all about courage, unlikely alliances, and how a small town can change when folks finally stop looking the other way. Oak Ridge Hollow was one of those quiet Midwestern spots, the kind where days dragged on peaceful under wide blue skies. But nights at the Oakwood bar could turn raw real quick, laughter and cold beers giving way to shoved shoulders and flying fists, especially when old grudges bubbled up. Jack Riley, pushing 45, wasn't some big shot with money or pull. He was just a regular guy, worked construction, lived in a modest bungalow on the outskirts, but everyone knew his name because years back, he'd charged into a burning trailer and hauled out 2 neighbor kids, arms blistered bad. But his spirit unbroken. Folks called him a hero, though Jack always brushed it off with a shrug, saying, anyone would have done it if they'd seen those scared little faces. But in a place like Oak Ridge, where people preferred minding their own business to avoid stirring the pot, Jack's habit of stepping in, whether it was breaking up a bar fight or calling out unfair bosses, made him admired by some and deeply resented by others, especially those who'd felt the sting of his honesty, like the Harlan brothers, Vince and Ray, who'd lost their hauling jobs after Jack testified against them in a shady land deal gone wrong. One that involved skimming off community funds for some backroom HOA scheme, leaving families out in the cold. That rainy Friday night, Jack was just walking home from his shift, collar up against the drizzle, when he spotted young Tommy Hale, barely 19, backed against the bar's brick wall by the Harlan brothers, their voices cutting sharp, laced with that old bitterness, because Tommy had accidentally overheard them bragging about rigging another deal, this time to push out old-timers from their homes for some developer payout. And now they were cornering him, shoving hard, snarling, you think you can rat us out like that, Riley fool? Say it again, kid, and we'll make sure you regret breathing. Tommy's voice cracked, shaky as hell. I didn't hear nothing, swear. And something in Jack snapped, that familiar burn in his chest, the one that whispered, you can't just keep walking. Even though he'd sworn to his late wife's memory to stay out of trouble, to live quiet, but promises like that, well, they shatter when you see fear in someone's eyes like that. Jack slowed his steps, jaw tightening, and stepped right into the fray, his voice steady despite the knot in his gut. That's enough. Fellas, back off the kid. The brothers wheeled around, sneers twisting their faces. Vince barked a harsh laugh. Look who it is, Oak Ridge's self-appointed savior, sticking his nose where it don't belong again. Ray spat on the ground, eyes narrowing with that pent-up rage from the old court loss. This ain't your fight. Riley, walk away before you join him on the pavement. But Jack held his ground, rain dripping off his cap, heart pounding but resolve like steel. When bullies like you pick on the weak to cover your dirty deals, it becomes everyone's business, especially mine. For a beat, the air hung heavy. Just Tommy's ragged breaths cutting through. Then Vince lunged, fist connecting square with Jack's jaw, pain exploding white-hot. Dropping him hard, Tommy yelped, scrambling back, but Jack pushed up, wiping blood, muttering through gritted teeth, still my business, you cowards. The crowd from the bar spilled out, murmuring, but no one moved. Typical Oak Ridge. All eyes, no action, and as Ray raised his boot for another kick, Jack braced, alone in the downpour, thinking about how stepping up always seemed to cost him more than it should, ribs already screaming from the first blows. He swung back wild, catching Vince off guard, but 2 against 1? The odds sucked, and down he went again, breath shallow, defiance flickering but fading. You'll have to kill me to shut me up, he gasped, earning cruel chuckles from the brothers, who loomed closer, fueled by years of simmering hate over that lost power play. But then, that sound started, distant at first, a low growl swelling into a tremor underfoot, headlights piercing the gloom one, then a dozen, then 50 roaring Harleys flooding the street like a storm front, chrome glinting under street lamps, engines thundering defiance that shook the windows. The Harlan brothers froze, fists half-cocked. Jack lifted his battered head, blinking rain away, disbelief mixing with relief as help rolled in, not quiet, but loud as hell. 50 bikes encircled the scene, engines cutting off in sync, leaving only the patter of rain on leather jackets at the front. Stone, Iron Fist, Malone, leader of the local Thunder Riders chapter, dismounted with heavy boots, his scarred face unreadable but eyes locked on the mess. He glanced down at Jack, still on his knees, a nod of quiet respect flashing before he turned to the brothers, voice gravelly, carved from years on the road. You enjoy beating on a man who stands for what's right while you scheme in the shadows? Try it with us watching. Behind him, the riders shifted, leather creaking, their silence a wall thicker than any threat. The brothers paled, bravado leaking away like the puddles at their feet, muttering curses but backing off as Iron Fist closed in, not swinging, just stating flat. This guy stood when you wouldn't. You don't break good men in our turf, not without consequences. Iron Fist crouched, offering a calloused hand. Jack hesitated, pride warring with pain, then gripped it, hauled to his feet as gasps rippled through the crowd, rain mixing with blood on his face, but chin high. Iron Fist clapped his shoulder, solid. You won't face this solo anymore. And just like that, engines roared back to life, the brothers slinking into the night, tails between their legs, while Jack leaned on that steady grip, body aching but spirit unbroken, realizing for the first time what real backup felt like, forged in thunder and leather. Morning hit Oak Ridge like a hangover, rumors buzzing thicker than flies at the hardware store. Riley's in over his head now, one guy muttered, while another shot back. You see those riders? Saved his ass. Maybe they're not all bad. Not everyone was kind about it. Some saw the bikers as invaders, stirring up the HOA crowd who already hated Jack for exposing their land grabs. Jack shuffled through town, ribs throbbing, bruise purpling his jaw, nods from a few respectful folks, but others crossed the street, whispering about the trouble he'd brought. At the diner, the waitress slid him free coffee, leaning in. You did good, Jack. Towns needed that spine. But in the corner, two old-timers grumbled. He's dragging rough types here, gonna ruin everything. Later, at his quiet home, that rumble returned before he saw them, Harleys lining the curb, neighbors peeking from blinds like it was a spectacle. Iron Fist stepped onto the porch, gaze steady. You stood when no one else would. We don't forget guts like that. Jack's throat tightened. Didn't ask for this, but Iron Fist cut in. Doesn't matter, you earned it. And in that moment, Jack felt the weight shift, his lone fight turning shared, though he wondered deep down if aligning with outsiders would cost him the town's trust, that fragile thing he'd built brick by painful brick. Whispers grew in the following days, at the grocery where a mom yanked her kid away. Stay clear of him. He's mixed up with those riders now, others avoiding him like he carried plague, the pressure building inside Jack, making him question if stepping in had made things worse, not better. One night on his porch, staring at his scarred hands from the old fire, doubts swirling. Had he invited chaos? Then engines rolled in again, half a dozen riders parking quiet. One young guy with neck tats leaning on the rail. Town might not get it, but we do. You protected that kid from those Harlan snakes and their schemes. That counts. Jack swallowed hard. And if it cost me the life I know? The biker's eyes softened. Then at least you lived true, with backbone. That's more than most. Trouble didn't wait long to circle back. One evening leaving the hardware store, the Harlans blocked his path, smirks sharp as knives, humiliation from the bar fueling their fire. Think you're untouchable with your biker pals shadowing you? Vince sneered, shoving Jack against the wall, pain lancing his ribs like fire. Passers-by froze, debating intervention, but before another blow landed, thunder answered, Harleys tearing into the lot, ground shaking, Iron Fist dismounting, leather slick with rain. Didn't learn last time, huh? He growled, eyes blazing. The brothers stumbled back as the crowd parted. Jack pushed off the wall, voice steady despite the hurt. This ends here. And in that tense stretch, the Harlans bolted into the shadows, Jack exhaling slow, realizing he'd not just survived, but stood taller, the rider's presence a shield he'd never sought, but now couldn't deny. Word spread like wildfire through Oakridge, some branded Jack reckless, inviting danger with his meddling in HOA corruption. Others hailed him brave, a spark the town needed. At the diner, old men debated over coffee. He's pulling bikers into our quiet life. One griped, another countered. Or maybe they've been here all along, and we just ignored their code till now. Jack sat in his booth, thoughts heavy. He hadn't wanted the spotlight, just couldn't stomach silence when folks like Tommy got cornered by power-hungry thugs. And that night, Iron Fist joined him on the porch, voice softer. Know why we keep showing? You remind us of our roots. People see our patches, tats, assume trouble, but our code's simple. Shield the vulnerable, stand when others fold. You live it without the bike. Jack stared into the dark, words hitting deep for the first time. He pondered if heroism wasn't about solo saves, but refusing to turn blind, even if it meant dragging secrets like the Harlan's land schemes into the light. Tension boiled over at the Oakridge Summer Fair. Families milling Main Street with balloons and cotton candy. Music floating. Lazy Jack wandered through, eyes wary from habit, and sure enough, the Harlans appeared, louder, bolder in the crowd, shouting. There's the rider's lapdog hiding behind leather while he ruins lives with his accusations. Laughter rippled uneasy from bystanders, Tommy nearby paling as Jack's gut twisted. He squared up, stepping forward. Enough of your poison. Face what you've done. The brothers closed in, sneering, but then the ground quaked. 80 Harleys surging into the square, engines roaring till all went silent. Riders forming a chrome wall around Jack, crowd gasping wide-eyed. Iron Fist advanced, gaze like fire. You don't mock a man who fights for justice in this town. Touch him. You touch us all. Engines thundered in agreement, rattling every booth. The Harlans shrank under those stares, once cocky now crumbling, fleeing through carnival shadows as cheers erupted hesitant, then full-throated. Jack's chest swelled, tears pricking. The town finally seeing him not as trouble, but as the guy who'd sparked change, though inside, he wrestled with the cost, wondering if this alliance blurred lines between right and rough. By dawn, Oakridge Split Cafe grumbles about bikers ruling the roost, but whispers shifted. Maybe outsiders showed us real guts. Jack walked with new weight, every step noted. At the gas station, a dad shook his hand. You gave my son a role model. And that evening, Tommy approached with his mom. Nervous, never thank you proper. The kid whispered. Jack's throat caught, no need. But the mom gripped his arm, trembling. Oh yes, you taught him men speak up against bullies. Engines hummed distant, steady. Jack realized courage wasn't punches taken, but voices unleashed beside you. Yet resentment festered. The Harlans lurked, bitterness over exposed deals boiling, waiting for a solo shot. Late one night, walking from the diner, footsteps echoed. A bottle shattered, fists flew before Jack turned, driving him down, pain searing. Without your rider nannies, you're zilch. Ray snarled, kicking hard. Jack groaned up. I stood long before them, against your kind, but thunder crashed in, Harleys storming the street, headlights blinding, Iron Fist yanking one by the collar. I warned you fools. The other froze pale. Riders walled up, Jack leaning broken but unbowed, proving heroes never roll solo. Next day, papers blared. Local stand-up guy targeted. Riders save the day again. Some muttered chaos, but most saw deeper. The diner buzzing with tips left for Jack, notes reading for holding the line. That evening, Iron Fist sat across at the counter. No thanks owed, but you've got a voice now, one the town hears. Jack frowned. What's that mean? Iron Fist leaned back. You're their mirror, showing what they've ignored. Silence lingered as Jack eyed families nearby, kids gazing hopeful. He'd never wanted symbolism, but through bruises and bonds, he'd become it, steadying him even as it scared him. The real test hit a week later at the town hall emergency meet. Air thick with shouts. Riders bring risk. Versus, without him. Jack's gone. He sat quiet till Tommy's mom rose. Where were you all that first night? Watching while he bled. Murmurs swelled. Jack stood, ribs aching. Didn't seek this war, but ignoring wrong hurts worse. I stood cause someone had to. Riders didn't force that, just ensured I wasn't alone in the fallout. The room hushed, Listening true. Outside. Engines purred like a pulsed Jack smile faint. His lone spark now town's fire. Days on. Oak Ridge shifted, no more whispers behind Jack's back. Just nods. Handshakes. Tommy waved proud. That's the guy who backed me. One evening with Iron Fist on the porch. Crickets chirping. Heroes don't always get monuments. Sometimes just memory. Jack chuckled. Ain't no hero. Just couldn't ignore. Iron Fist's gaze softened. Exactly why you are. Silence hung warm. Jack's scars, once hidden, now told endurance, a tale the world might need. The Riverfront Fest pulled everyone together. Jack hesitated, weary of stares, but Tommy begged, come on. Square glowing with lights, laughter buzzing, voices calling, there he is. But applause built, spreading genuine, strangers thanking him soft. Tears blurred as Iron Fist and riders rolled in respectful. Engines off, standing with townsfolk. Barriers gone. Oak Ridge united by one man's stand and the roar that echoed it. Jack breathed deep, heart light. After, riders invited a ride. Jack laughed. No bike here. Iron Fist grinned. Hop on, helmet in hand. He climbed behind. Engines firing. Vibrations thrumming like life renewed. Convoy stretching roadward. Wind whipping. Horizon vast, free from old traps. Belonging real. Cresting the hill. Iron Fist pumped. 80 voices roaring. Echo. Jack smiled through fades. This was home. Weeks later at the diner, a stranger approached. Don't know me, but my girl saw it all. You restored her faith in good men. Jack's chest ached humble. Outside, Harley's growled faint. Iron Fist entered, dropping a leather patch. Brother. Jack traced it, trembling. Ain't one of you. Iron Fist calm. Live the code. Your family. Weight lifted, shared, no longer lone, part of unbreakable. On an autumn eve, Jack walked home under golden skies, pausing at the bridge, memories of pain, fear, but thunder louder, now for others. Patch warm in pocket, smile quiet, standing up meant finding standers with. Hero scarred but steadfast. Oak Ridge remembered him not just for the fire, but proving kindness rallies thunder. Courage starts solo, grows unshakable shared. But here's the thing that still nags at me, were the riders saviors, or just another layer of chaos in a town already fractured by greed and silence? Did Jack stand heel, or just shift the power? What do you think? Have you ever stepped up and found unexpected allies, or seen community justice go sideways? Drop a comment below, share your take on right versus risk, like if this hit home, subscribe for more real-life echoes, and hit that bell so you catch the next one. Thanks for listening. Stay standing, folks.